I stand in my daughter Sarah's kitchen with hot coffee dripping down my white blouse. Sarah, 38 years old, holds the empty mug, screaming about her son Marcus needing bail money. "Give me your credit card, or get out of my house." The coffee burns through the fabric. My grandson Marcus, 19, watches from the doorway, shame covering his face. 25 years of supporting this ungrateful daughter flash through my mind. I wipe coffee from my cheek and quietly say, "I'm leaving." The front door closes behind me with devastating finality. I drive home with trembling hands, the smell of coffee still clinging to my clothes. My heart pounds as I pull into my driveway on Maple Street, the same house where I raised Sarah after her father died 12 years ago. The silence in my car feels deafening compared to the chaos I just escaped. 3 months ago, this nightmare began with a phone call at 6 in the morning. Sarah's voice was hysterical, barely coherent through her tears. "Mom, Marcus is in jail. They arrested him for drug possession. I need money for a lawyer right now." My grandson Marcus had always been a good kid. Smart, polite, worked part-time at the grocery store while attending community college. The idea of him with drugs seemed impossible, but Sarah insisted it was true. "He was selling to make money for tuition," she sobbed. "Dave hasn't paid child support in 8 months since the divorce. We're drowning, Mom." That first week, I gave Sarah $3,000 for the lawyer, then another $2,000 for Marcus's initial court costs. When she called crying about losing the house, I covered her mortgage payment of $2,100. When the utilities were about to be shut off, I sent another $800. When she needed groceries because all their money went to legal fees, I bought them a week's worth of food. But today was different. Today, Sarah didn't just want money. She wanted my credit cards, all of them. "Mom, I need access to your accounts," she had demanded when I arrived at her house. "Marcus needs $8,000 for bail, and his lawyer wants another $5,000 retainer, plus the court costs. It's over $15,000 total." I had pulled out my checkbook, ready to write another check, despite my growing concern about the mounting costs. But Sarah grabbed my wrist. "No, Mom, I need the cards. I need to handle this myself, without having to ask you for every little expense." Something cold settled in my stomach. "Sarah, I've already given you over $12,000 in 3 months. Maybe we should slow down." And that's when she exploded. That's when the coffee mug flew across the kitchen and the scalding liquid hit my chest. Now, sitting in my driveway, I realize something that makes my hands shake even more. I've been secretly recording our conversations on my phone for the past month because Sarah's demands had been escalating in a way that made me uncomfortable. My friend Janet, a retired police officer, had suggested it after I confided my concerns about Sarah's increasingly erratic behavior. I pull out my phone and scroll to the recording from 2 weeks ago. Sarah's voice fills my car. "The lawyer needs another $4,000 immediately, or Marcus could go to prison for 10 years. But today, when I carefully asked Marcus directly about the lawyer fees while Sarah was in the bathroom, he looked confused. "Grandma Deann, Mr. Peterson only charged us $2,000 total. Mom said you were handling all the money stuff." My heart sinks as the pieces click together. Sarah has been lying about the amounts. Marcus's bail was only $2,000, not the $8,000 she demanded today. And if the lawyer only charged $2,000 total, where did all the money I gave her really go? I sit in my car for 20 more minutes, coffee staining my blouse, as a horrible truth settles over me. My daughter has been stealing from me, and she's been using Marcus's legal troubles as the perfect cover. The next morning, I wake up with a clarity that surprises me. After 35 years as a high school principal before retirement, I know how to investigate suspicious behavior. I start with Marcus's lawyer, Mrs. Patterson. Attorney Peterson's voice is kind but professional when I call his office. "I'm glad you called. I've been trying to reach Sarah about the final paperwork, but she hasn't returned my calls." "Mr. Peterson, I'm Marcus's grandmother. I've been providing financial support. Can you tell me exactly what we owe?" There's a pause. "Mrs. Patterson, your grandson's case was resolved 2 weeks ago. Community service, drug counseling, and probation. The total cost was $2,000, which was paid in full 6 weeks ago. The room spins around me. Are you certain? Absolutely. Marcus is a good kid who made one mistake. He's been attending his counseling sessions regularly and starts community service next week at the animal shelter. Didn't Sarah tell you? After hanging up, I sit at my kitchen table with shaking hands. Sarah has been lying to me for weeks. Marcus's case was resolved, but she's been continuing to demand money for his ongoing legal fees. Where has all my money been going? I drive to First National Bank, where I've banked for 28 years. Maria Santos, my personal banker, greets me with her usual warm smile, but it fades when she sees my expression. Mrs. Patterson, is everything all right? Maria, I need to review my accounts. All of them. I think someone may have been accessing them without permission. What we discover makes my stomach drop to my feet. My checking account shows withdrawals I never authorized. 3 checks for $500 each, all signed with my name but in handwriting that's almost, but not quite, mine. The signatures are close enough that they cleared, but when I compare them to my actual signature, the differences are obvious. Maria, I never wrote these checks. She pulls up the images on her computer. The checks are made out to S. Patterson, Sarah's initial and married name. My own daughter has been forging my signature. Mrs. Patterson, this is check fraud. You need to file a police report. But that's not all. Maria's face grows more concerned as she scrolls through my savings account. There are also some online transfers that I want you to look at. 5 transfers of $2,000 each over the past 6 weeks. All authorized with your online banking password. I stare at the screen in disbelief. I don't even know my online banking password. I always come in person or use the phone. Someone who knows your personal information could have set it up. Your social security number, mother's maiden name, date of birth. Family members often have access to this information. The total is staggering. $15,000 in forged checks, $10,000 in unauthorized online transfers, $25,000 stolen from my accounts by my own daughter. Maria, I need copies of everything. And I need to understand how someone could have gotten access to set up online banking without me knowing. What we discover is even more disturbing. Someone called the bank 4 months ago, claiming to be me, requesting online banking access. They knew my social security number, my mother's maiden name, Henderson, and my birth date. They even knew the name of my first pet, Whiskers, from when Sarah was little. The voice on the recorded call, which Maria pulls up for me to hear, is definitely Sarah's. She's even disguising her voice to sound older, more like me. As I drive home with copies of all the fraudulent transactions, my phone rings. It's Sarah. Mom, I'm sorry about yesterday. I was stressed about Marcus, and I shouldn't have thrown the coffee. Can we talk? Sarah, I just came from the bank. There's a long pause. What do you mean? I know about the forged checks. I know about the online banking. I know Marcus's case was resolved 2 weeks ago. The silence stretches so long I think she's hung up. Finally, her voice comes back, but it's different now. Desperate and angry instead of apologetic. Mom, you don't understand. I'm drowning here. Dave hasn't paid child support. The house is in foreclosure. I owe money everywhere. I was going to pay you back. $25,000, Sarah. You stole $25,000 from me. I didn't steal it. You're my mother. You're supposed to help me, not by letting you forge my signature and hack into my accounts. You have plenty of money, Mom. Dad left you everything. You live in that big house all alone, while your daughter and grandson are about to be homeless. Her words hit like physical blows, but they also reveal something I hadn't realized. Sarah thinks I'm wealthy. She thinks her father left me everything. But what she doesn't know is that Robert's teacher pension and life insurance barely covered his medical bills before he died. I've been living on my principal's pension and Social Security. The money she's been stealing represents most of my savings. Sarah, where did all the money go? If Marcus's legal bills were only $2,000 and his case is resolved, where is my $25,000? Another long pause. Then, quietly, I have some debts. What kind of debts? Credit cards. And other things. What other things, Sarah? Mom, I can't talk about this over the phone. Can you come over? No, Sarah. Not until you tell me the truth. All of it. I can hear her crying now, but it sounds different than her usual tears. These sound like tears of someone who's been caught, not someone who's genuinely sorry. There's a website, she whispers. An online casino. I thought I could win the money back. I thought I could win enough to pay off all my credit cards and pay you back and still have enough left over to save the house. My heart sinks even further. My daughter isn't just a thief, she's a gambling addict. How much do you owe, Sarah? I don't know. Exactly. Maybe 40 or 50,000 total. But Mom, if you help me one more time, I can fix this. I can pay everyone back. I hang up the phone without another word. My daughter has stolen $25,000 from me to feed a gambling addiction, lied to me about her son's legal troubles, and forged my signature multiple times. And now she wants me to give her more money to fix the problem she created. But what she doesn't know is that her mother isn't the helpless old woman she thinks I am. I spent 35 years dealing with manipulative teenagers who thought they could outsmart me. It's time Sarah learned that her mother is smarter than she realizes. Instead of calling the police immediately, I make a different choice. I call Janet Walsh, my friend who retired from the police force 5 years ago, and now works as a private investigator. Janet, I need your professional help. My daughter has been stealing from me, and I think there's more going on than I understand. 2 hours later, Janet sits at my kitchen table, her notebook open, listening to everything I've discovered. She's a small woman with silver hair and sharp blue eyes that miss nothing. We've been friends since our daughters played softball together 20 years ago. Dean, you're smart not to go to the police yet. If we file charges now, Sarah will just deny everything, and you might not recover your money. Let me do some digging first. What kind of digging? I want to understand her financial situation completely. The forged checks and online banking theft are just what you've discovered. There might be more. I also want to know about this gambling problem and what other debts she has. Over the next 4 days, Janet works her contacts. What she discovers is devastating. Dean, your daughter owes $47,000 to various creditors. Credit cards, a personal loan from a payday lender with 28% interest, and money borrowed from 3 different friends. She's also 2 months behind on her mortgage, and the bank is starting foreclosure proceedings. Janet spreads papers across my kitchen table like evidence in a crime scene. But here's the interesting part. She's been telling everyone a different story about you. What do you mean? I talked to her neighbor, Mrs. Rodriguez, who goes to the same grocery store you do. Sarah has been telling people that you're wealthy but selfish, that you won't help her even though you have plenty of money. She told Mrs. Rodriguez that you inherited hundreds of thousands of dollars when your husband died, but you're too greedy to help your own daughter. The betrayal cuts deeper than I expected. That's not true. Robert's medical bills ate up most of our savings before he died. I know, honey, but it gets worse. She's been building sympathy in the community. She told the pastor at her church that you've cut her off financially because you disapprove of her divorce. She's painted herself as the struggling single mother with the heartless wealthy mother. Janet pulls out more papers. I also looked into her online gambling. She's registered on 14 different casino websites. The pattern shows she's been gambling for at least 8 months, always chasing bigger wins to cover her losses. How much has she lost gambling? Based on her bank records, which I accessed through a contact, she's lost approximately $32,000 in online gambling over the past 8 months. The $25,000 she stole from you went straight into her gambling accounts. I feel sick. So my money never went to helping Marcus or paying bills. It went to feed her addiction. That's right. And Dean, there's something else. Something that's going to upset you even more. Janet hesitates, which is unusual for her. She's normally direct about everything. What is it, Janet? Sarah has been researching elder law attorneys. Specifically, she's been looking into how to get power of attorney over a parent who's developing dementia. The words hit me like a slap. Dementia? I don't have dementia. I know you don't. But she's been building a case that you do. She called Dr. Martinez's office last week asking about your mental state and whether you've been showing signs of memory loss or confusion. She what? She told them she was concerned about your recent erratic behavior and wanted to know if you needed cognitive testing. Dr. Martinez's nurse told her they couldn't discuss your medical information, but the fact that she called shows she's trying to establish a paper trail. Janet leans forward, her expression serious. Dean, I think the coffee incident was planned. I think she was trying to provoke you into an extreme reaction that she could use as evidence of mental instability. You mean she wanted me to fight back? To lose my temper? Exactly. If you had screamed at her, or gotten physical, or said something that could be interpreted as confused or irrational, she could have used it. The fact that you left quietly probably frustrated her plan. The manipulation is so calculated it takes my breath away. My own daughter was trying to have me declared mentally incompetent? It looks that way. With power of attorney, she'd have access to all your accounts, your house, everything. She could justify the gambling losses as managing your care, and you'd have little recourse. I sit in silence, processing the enormity of what Janet has discovered. My daughter hasn't just been stealing my money. She's been orchestrating a long-term plan to take control of my entire life. Janet, what are my options? Well, you could file criminal charges for the check fraud and identity theft. That would probably result in felony charges and potential prison time for Sarah. I don't want to send my daughter to prison. I understand, but you have other options, more creative options. Janet smiles for the first time since she arrived. Dean, you've been thinking like a victim. But you're not a victim. You're a woman with resources and intelligence who's been underestimated by someone who should know better. What do you mean? Your daughter thinks she knows everything about your financial situation. But does she? I think about this carefully. What are you asking? When Robert died, did he leave anything besides the pension and life insurance? Well, there was the trust fund his father set up, but that was separate from our regular finances. I never touched it because I didn't need to. Janet's eyes light up. Tell me about this trust fund. Robert's father was a successful businessman. He set up an educational trust for family members that matured when Robert turned 65. But Robert died at 62, so it passed to me. It's worth about $250,000. And Sarah doesn't know about it? Robert and I never talked about money in front of her. She has no idea the trust exists. Janet grins. Then it's time to show your daughter that she's not as smart as she thinks she is. 3 days after my conversation with Janet, I put our plan into motion. Janet has spent the weekend making phone calls and arranging meetings. Today is the day Sarah gets her first real surprise. I know Sarah's schedule because I've been watching her routine for weeks now. She leaves for her part-time job at the department store at 9 in the morning and doesn't return until 6 in the evening. Marcus has moved in with his friend Tyler since the arrest, avoiding the tension at home. At 11 in the morning, Janet calls me. It's done. The utilities have been shut off at Sarah's house for non-payment. The foreclosure notice has been posted on her front door, and attorney Thomas Bradley is waiting inside with the key you provided. You're sure she won't be home until tonight? Positive. And Dean. Bradley understands exactly what needs to happen. He's been briefed on everything. Attorney Thomas Bradley isn't just any lawyer. He's the estate attorney who handled Robert's trust fund and has been managing the investments for the past 12 years. He's a distinguished man in his 50s with gray hair and a kind but authoritative presence. Most importantly, Sarah has never met him and has no idea he exists. When Sarah arrives home at 6:15 that evening, everything looks normal from the outside. But when she puts her key in the front door, it doesn't work. The locks have been changed. She tries the back door. Same thing. Finally, she notices the foreclosure notice posted by the front door. According to Janet, who's watching from across the street, Sarah's reaction is explosive. She pounds on the door, screaming about the bank's mistake, demanding to get into her own house. That's when the front door opens, and Thomas Bradley appears. Miss Patterson, I presume? Sarah stops mid-scream. Who are you? What are you doing in my house? My name is Thomas Bradley, attorney with Bradley, Henderson, and Associates. I represent the new owner of this property. You're trespassing. New owner? This is my house. There's been a mistake. Bradley steps aside and gestures for her to enter. Please come in. We have a great deal to discuss. Janet texts me updates as events unfold. Sarah enters her own house to find all the utilities shut off and a stranger in an expensive suit sitting at her kitchen table with stacks of legal documents. Miss Patterson, please sit down. This will take some time to explain. I'm not sitting anywhere until you tell me what's going on. Where are my things? Where's my son's stuff? Your personal belongings are boxed in the garage. Your son's belongings were delivered to his current residence this morning. As for what's going on, that's a complicated story involving your mother. According to Janet, Sarah's face goes white at the mention of me. My mother? What does my mother have to do with this? Bradley opens a folder and pulls out official-looking documents. 3 days ago, your mother purchased your mortgage from First National Bank. She is now the legal owner of this property. That's impossible. My mother doesn't have that kind of money. Miss Patterson, your mother has considerably more resources than you realize. The mortgage purchase price was $112,000, which represents the remaining balance plus penalties and fees. She paid in full. Sarah sinks into a chair, her face losing all color. She can't do that. This is my house. Actually, it was the bank's house. You were in default. Your mother simply bought the debt. As the new mortgage holder, she has chosen to exercise her right to immediate possession due to your extended default. Bradley pulls out more papers. However, that's not why I'm here today. I'm here because your mother has made some additional discoveries about your recent activities. What activities? Bradley slides a document across the table. This is a report detailing $25,000 in fraudulent transactions from your mother's bank accounts, forged checks, and unauthorized electronic transfers. All traced back to you. Sarah's hands shake as she stares at the papers. She can't prove that. Actually, she can. Bank security footage, handwriting analysis, phone records of you impersonating her to set up online banking access. It's quite comprehensive. Bradley pulls out another folder. There's also this report about your gambling activities. $32,000 lost on various online casino sites over 8 months. Remarkably, the dates of your largest gambling deposits correspond exactly with the dates you stole money from your mother's accounts. She's been investigating me? Your mother is a retired high school principal who dealt with manipulative teenagers for 35 years. Did you really think you could outsmart her? Sarah's composure finally cracks completely. What does she want? What is this about? Bradley leans back in his chair, his expression becoming more serious. Your mother has discovered that you've been planning to have her declared mentally incompetent so you could gain power of attorney over her assets. That's not true. Miss Patterson, we have records of your calls to medical offices, your research into elder law attorneys, and your attempts to create a paper trail suggesting your mother's mental decline. The coffee incident was particularly clever, trying to provoke her into a reaction you could use as evidence. Sarah's face is now completely drained of color. She knows everything. Yes, she does. Which brings us to why I'm here today. Bradley pulls out a final set of documents, but he doesn't open them yet. Your mother could file criminal charges for check fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse. These are felony charges that carry significant prison time. She wouldn't do that to her own daughter. Are you willing to bet your freedom on that assumption? Because from where I sit, you've shown remarkably little consideration for what you do to your own mother. The room falls silent, except for the sound of Sarah crying. However, Bradley continues, your mother is a fair woman who believes in redemption. She's prepared to offer you a choice. What kind of choice? That's where things get interesting, Miss Patterson. Because your mother has resources you know nothing about. Bradley opens the final folder and pulls out bank statements and investment reports. Your mother inherited a trust fund worth $250,000 when your father died. She never mentioned it because she never needed to use it. Until now. Sarah stares at the numbers on the papers. $250,000? She's been rich this whole time? Your mother was never poor, Miss Patterson. She simply chose to live modestly and save responsibly. The money you've been stealing represented her careful savings from 35 years of work. Money she planned to leave to you and Marcus when she died. Leave to us? That was before she discovered what kind of person you'd become. Bradley stands up, gathering his papers. Your mother has used her resources to solve your problems, but not in the way you expected. Marcus's legal issues have been completely resolved through a restorative justice program your mother funded. His record will be cleared if he completes community service and counseling. She helped Marcus? Your mother paid off his legal fees directly, spoke with the prosecutor about alternative sentencing, and arranged for him to complete his community service at organizations that will provide him with job experience. She's also established a supervised education trust to pay for his college expenses. Sarah wipes her eyes. And what about me? Bradley's expression becomes stern. That depends entirely on the choice you make right now. Attorney Bradley sits back down, his expression shifting from stern to something more measured. Sarah waits in her darkened kitchen, surrounded by boxes of her belongings, for him to explain her fate. Your mother has spent considerable time thinking about what kind of help you actually need, Miss Patterson. Not the enabling you've been demanding, but genuine assistance that addresses your real problems. What do you mean? Your gambling addiction, your financial irresponsibility, and your complete disrespect for other people's boundaries. These are the real issues that need to be addressed. Bradley opens a new folder. Your mother has done something remarkable. She's paid off every single one of your debts. Sarah's eyes widen. Every debt? The credit cards, the payday loan, the money you borrowed from friends, $47,000 total. Your mother has cleared all of it. She paid off all my debts? Sarah's voice is barely a whisper. But there are conditions. Strict conditions that are non-negotiable. Bradley slides a contract across the table. This is a repayment plan. You will pay back every penny your mother has spent on your behalf. The $25,000 you stole, plus the $47,000 in debt payments, plus the cost of Marcus's legal assistance, $78,000 total. Sarah stares at the numbers. I can't pay back $78,000. I make $10 an hour at the department store. Which brings us to the first condition. You will enter a residential gambling addiction treatment program. Your mother has already arranged and paid for a 30-day program at Cedar Hills Recovery Center. You start on Monday. A residential program? I can't leave work for a month. Miss Patterson, you've lost $32,000 gambling in 8 months. Your work hasn't stopped you from destroying your financial life. Treatment is not optional. Bradley continues reading from the contract. After you complete the residential program, you will attend weekly counseling sessions and financial planning courses. You will also attend Gamblers Anonymous meetings twice per week. And if I refuse? Then your mother files criminal charges for check fraud, identity theft, and elder abuse. You'll spend the next 2 to 5 years in prison instead of getting the help you need. Sarah sits in stunned silence, processing the magnitude of what her mother has orchestrated. There's more, Bradley continues. Regarding this house, your mother owns it now, but she's prepared to sell it back to you under specific conditions. What conditions? You will live here and pay rent of $800 per month, every month for 2 years. If you complete the addiction treatment, maintain employment, attend all required counseling, and make every rent payment on time, ownership of the house will be transferred back to you. And if I don't? Then you forfeit any claim to the property, and your mother will sell it to recover her investment. Sarah looks around her kitchen, seeing her home with new eyes. She really owns my house. Yes, she does. And Miss Patterson, there's something else you need to understand. Your son Marcus has been living with your mother for the past week. What? Marcus is staying with her? He came to her after he learned about your lies regarding his legal fees. He's known for weeks that his case was resolved, but you kept demanding money from your mother while telling him she was refusing to help. He figured out what was happening. The color drains from Sarah's face again. Marcus knows I was lying? He knows everything. The gambling, the stolen money, the forged checks. Your mother showed him the bank records and explained exactly where her money has been going. What did he say? Bradley's expression softened slightly. He was heartbroken, Miss Patterson. Not angry, but deeply hurt that his legal troubles were being used as a cover for your addiction. He felt responsible for your mother's financial losses. Is he okay? He's doing well. Your mother has been teaching him to cook, helping him with college applications, and giving him the kind of stable support he needs. He visits his counselor twice a week and starts community service at the animal shelter next Monday. Sarah wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. Does he hate me? He loves you, Miss Patterson. But he doesn't trust you anymore, and he's not willing to watch you destroy yourself and hurt his grandmother in the process. Bradley leans forward, his tone becoming more compassionate. Your mother isn't doing this to punish you, Sarah. She's doing it because she loves you enough to stop enabling your destructive behavior. It feels like punishment. I imagine it does. But consider the alternative. 6 months from now, if nothing had changed, where would you be? Your house would be foreclosed. Your debts would be even higher. Your gambling losses would be deeper. And your relationship with your son and mother would be completely destroyed. Sarah nods slowly, beginning to understand. Instead, 6 months from now, if you follow this plan, you'll be in recovery. Your debts will be clear. You'll have your house back. And you'll have a chance to rebuild trust with your family. Bradley stands up again. But the choice has to be yours, Miss Patterson. Your mother won't force you into treatment. She won't drag you to counseling. You have to decide whether you want to get well or whether you prefer to face criminal charges. When do I have to decide? Right now. The intake appointment at Cedar Hills is Monday at 9 in the morning. If you're not there, your mother files charges Monday afternoon. Sarah stares at the contract for a long time, reading through the terms. Treatment, counseling, financial planning, Gamblers Anonymous, monthly rent payments, employment requirements, progress reports. Will I be able to see Marcus while I'm in treatment? Family therapy is part of the program. Your mother and Marcus will participate in sessions with you to work on rebuilding trust and communication. And my mother? Will she forgive me? Bradley's expression becomes gentle. Sarah, your mother has spent the past week setting up treatment programs, paying off your debts, arranging housing, and creating a path for you to rebuild your life. Does that sound like someone who's given up on you? For the first time since entering the house, Sarah begins to cry with something other than self-pity. These are tears of recognition, of understanding how completely she's misjudged her mother's character and capabilities. I thought she was weak, Sarah whispers. I thought I was smarter than her. Your mother is a lot of things, Miss Patterson, but weak isn't one of them. It takes tremendous strength to love someone enough to stop rescuing them and start requiring them to save themselves. Sarah picks up the pen Bradley has placed beside the contract. Her hand shakes as she signs her name, agreeing to treatment, counseling, and the long road back to earning her family's trust. There's one more thing, Bradley says as he collects the signed papers. Your mother wants to see you before you go to treatment. She'll be here tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon. Is she still angry with me? Ask her yourself, Sarah. But I think you'll find that anger isn't what she's been feeling at all. The next afternoon, I stand on the front porch of what used to be Sarah's house and is now mine, holding the key Bradley returned to me yesterday. My hands aren't shaking anymore. The confusion and hurt of the past months have been replaced by a clarity I haven't felt in years. Sarah opens the door before I can knock. She looks smaller than she did a week ago, her face pale and drawn. The boxes in her living room make the house look like a crime scene, which in many ways it is. Hello, Sarah. Hi, Mom. We stand in the doorway for a moment, neither of us sure how to begin this conversation. Finally, she steps aside to let me enter. I signed the contract, she says quietly. I'm going to Cedar Hills on Monday. I know. Mr. Bradley called me. We sit on the couch that I remember helping her pick out 3 years ago when she and Dave were still married and the future looked hopeful. Now it's surrounded by boxes of a life that's been completely dismantled. Mom, I need to ask you something, and I need you to tell me the truth. All right. Were you really going to let me go to prison? The question hangs in the air between us. It's fair, and it deserves an honest answer. Sarah, what you did was criminal. Forgery, theft, identity fraud. If you were anyone else's daughter, you'd already be in jail. That doesn't answer my question. I look at my daughter, this woman I raised from a baby, and realize she's never seen me as anything other than her mother. She's never understood that I'm a complete person with my own intelligence, resources, and strength. The truth is, I don't know. If you had refused treatment, if you had continued to steal and lie and gamble, if you had kept trying to manipulate Marcus and destroy our family, yes, I might have filed charges. Sarah's eyes fill with tears. But I hoped it wouldn't come to that. I hoped that when you saw the consequences of your actions laid out clearly, you'd choose to get help, instead of choosing to keep destroying yourself. I didn't know you were so strong, Sarah admits. I thought you were just my mother. I thought you'd always rescue me no matter what I did. I am your mother, Sarah. I will always be your mother. But I'm not your victim, and I'm not your enabler. There's a difference between helping and enabling, and I finally learned it. Sarah wipes her eyes. Where did the trust fund money come from? Why didn't I know about it? Your father's family had money, but Robert never wanted it to define our lives. We lived on our salaries and saved the trust fund for emergencies or our retirement. After he died, I kept living the same way because I didn't need the extra money. But you used it to bail me out. No, Sarah. I used it to create consequences for your actions and opportunities for your recovery. There's a difference. I pull out an envelope from my purse and hand it to her. These are bank statements showing exactly how the money was spent. The debt payments, the house purchase, Marcus's legal fees, your treatment program. You can see every dollar. Sarah opens the envelope and studies the papers. You paid for Marcus's lawyer directly? I called Mr. Peterson myself after I found out you were lying about the costs. Marcus never knew how much I gave you because the money never reached him. And you set up a college fund for him? A supervised trust that pays tuition and expenses directly to the school. Marcus can't access the money for gambling or other purposes, but his education is guaranteed if he maintains his grades and stays out of trouble. Sarah looks up from the papers. You don't trust me with his education fund. Would you trust you with it, Sarah? Honestly? She shakes her head slowly. No, I wouldn't. Trust is earned, honey. You can earn it back, but it will take time and consistent behavior change. Sarah sets the papers aside and looks directly at me for the first time in months. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for everything. For the lies, for stealing from you, for trying to manipulate you, for the coffee. I know you are. But Sarah, being sorry isn't enough anymore. You've been sorry before. You were sorry when you bounced checks in college. You were sorry when you borrowed money from your friends and didn't pay it back. You were sorry when you lied to Dave about your credit card spending. This time is different. It has to be different. Because this is your last chance with me. The words come out more firmly than I intended, but they're true. Sarah, I love you more than my own life. I would do anything to help you get well, but I will not let you destroy yourself, and I will not let you use me as an ATM for your addiction. What if the treatment doesn't work? What if I can't stay sober from gambling? Then you'll lose the house, and you'll lose access to Marcus's trust fund, and you'll lose my financial support, but you won't lose my love. What's the difference? Love means wanting what's best for you, even when you don't want it for yourself. Love means setting boundaries that protect both of us. Love sometimes means saying no when someone you care about is asking for help in the wrong way. Sarah starts crying again, but these tears are different. They're not the manipulative tears I've seen so many times before. These are tears of genuine remorse and recognition. I thought I was so clever, she whispers. I thought I had you figured out. You thought I was weak because I'm generous. You thought I was stupid because I trust people. But Sarah, strength and kindness aren't opposites. Intelligence and compassion aren't opposites. I reach over and take her hand. I spent 35 years dealing with teenagers who thought they could manipulate me. Some of them were very clever. But honey, you're not the first person who tried to outsmart someone who loves them. How did you know? How did you figure out what I was doing? The amounts didn't add up. Marcus's confusion about the lawyer fees, your increasingly desperate demands. And Sarah, I know you. I raised you. When you lie, you talk faster and avoid eye contact and ask for very specific dollar amounts because you think it sounds more believable. Sarah looks embarrassed. You've always known when I was lying? Since you were 7 years old and told me the dog ate your homework. Despite everything, she smiles a little at this. We didn't even have a dog. Exactly. We sit in comfortable silence for a few minutes, the first peaceful moment we've shared in months. Mom, can I ask you something else? Of course. Are you disappointed in me? It's the question I've been dreading because it requires complete honesty. Yes, Sarah. I'm disappointed that you thought so little of my intelligence. I'm disappointed that you used Marcus's troubles as cover for your addiction. I'm disappointed that you chose to steal from me, instead of asking for help with your real problems. She nods, accepting this. But I'm not disappointed in who you are as a person. You're struggling with an addiction. An addiction makes people do things they would never normally do. The Sarah who threw coffee at me isn't the real Sarah. The real Sarah is in there somewhere, and treatment will help you find her again. What if I can't find her? What if the real Sarah is just selfish and manipulative? Then she wouldn't have asked that question. Selfish people don't worry about being selfish. Sarah laughs despite her tears. You always know what to say. No, honey. I just know how to love you without destroying myself in the process. It took me a long time to learn that. Will you visit me in treatment? Family therapy is part of your program. Marcus and I will be there. Is Marcus okay? Really? He's hurt, but he's resilient. And he's proud of you for choosing treatment. He told me yesterday that his mother is braver than he thought. He said that? He loves you, Sarah. But he also loves his grandmother, and he wasn't going to stand by and watch you hurt me anymore. Sarah nods slowly. I've lost his respect. Respect can be earned back, too. It takes longer than trust, but it's possible. I stand up to leave, but Sarah grabs my hand. Mom, what happens if I complete the program? What happens if I do everything right? Then you get your life back. Your house, your relationship with Marcus, your self-respect, and maybe, eventually, a relationship with me that's based on mutual respect, instead of manipulation and enabling. Do you think that's possible? I bend down and kiss the top of her head, the same way I did when she was a little girl having nightmares. Sarah, I've seen teenagers overcome drug addiction, abusive families, poverty, and trauma to build successful, meaningful lives. I've seen people change in ways that seemed impossible. But do you think I can change? I think you're my daughter, and you're stronger than you know. But mostly, I think you're finally ready to find out who you really are when you're not running from your problems. 6 months later, I'm standing in my kitchen, making Sunday dinner for 3 people. The table is set with my good china, the kind I used to save for special occasions before I realized that having my family together and healthy is special enough. Sarah completed the 30-day residential program at Cedar Hills and has been attending outpatient counseling twice a week ever since. She's been gambling free for 162 days, which I know because she tells me the count every Sunday when she comes for dinner. Marcus is thriving in his 2nd semester at community college. His grades are excellent. He's completed his community service hours at the animal shelter, and he's been accepted to transfer to State University in the fall. The trust fund I established will cover his tuition and living expenses as long as he maintains his grades and stays out of trouble. But the real change is in how we talk to each other now. Grandma Deann, should I put the rolls in the oven? Marcus calls from the dining room where he's finishing setting the table. 10 more minutes, sweetheart. Wait until your mother gets here. Sarah is never late anymore. Punctuality was one of the first things she learned in treatment. On time. Present. Being on time is a form of respect for other people's lives. At exactly 12:30, I hear her key in the front door. I'm here, she calls out. She's been living in her house, our house, for 4 months now, paying rent faithfully on the first of every month. She took a second job on weekends at a bookstore because she wanted to pay down her debt to me faster than the minimum required by our contract. How did your week go? I ask as she hangs her coat in the closet. Good. Challenging, but good. I had a really hard day on Wednesday when I saw an online casino advertisement, but I called my sponsor instead of acting on it. This is how Sarah talks now. Directly, honestly, without the manipulation and excuses that used to characterize every conversation. Treatment taught her that recovery means facing problems head-on, instead of trying to charm or manipulate her way around them. Marcus hugs his mother, something that didn't happen for the first 2 months after she got out of treatment. Trust rebuilds slowly, but it does rebuild when people's actions consistently match their words. Mom, tell Grandma about the job interview, Marcus says as we sit down to eat. Sarah's face lights up. I interviewed for a supervisor position at the store. It would mean a raise to $15 an hour plus benefits. That's wonderful, honey. When will you hear back? Monday. But honestly, even if I don't get it, I'm grateful for where I am now. 6 months ago, I was stealing money and lying to everyone I loved. Today, I'm supporting myself, I'm honest about my problems, and I'm building a life I can be proud of. Marcus reaches over and squeezes his mother's hand. I'm proud of you, Mom. These moments still surprise me with their emotional power. For months after the coffee incident, I wondered if our family could ever be genuinely close again. But recovery isn't just about stopping destructive behavior. It's about learning how to live authentically and build real relationships based on truth instead of manipulation. Grandma, tell Mom about your decision, Marcus says, grinning. What decision? Sarah asks. Well, I say, setting down my fork, I've been thinking about what to do with the money that's left in your father's trust fund. Mom, you don't owe me any explanations about your money. I learned that in treatment. I know I don't owe you explanations. But I want to share this decision because it affects both of you. I pull out a folder from the counter behind me. I'm donating $50,000 to establish a scholarship fund at the community college for students in recovery from addiction. It will help people like you who are trying to rebuild their lives through education. Sarah's eyes fill with tears, but they're happy tears. Mom, that's beautiful. The scholarship will be named after your father. The Robert Patterson Second Chance Scholarship. Dad would love that, Sarah whispers. But that's not all. I'm also using some of the money to establish a financial literacy program for people leaving addiction treatment. Too many people get clean but don't know how to manage money responsibly. Marcus beams. That's such a good idea, Grandma. Sarah will be helping me design the program curriculum. Sarah looks shocked. Me? But I'm terrible with money. You were terrible with money when you were actively addicted to gambling. But now you're learning how to budget, save, and live within your means. Who better to teach financial responsibility than someone who learned it the hard way? You want me to help teach other people? Sarah, one of the most powerful things about recovery is using your experience to help other people who are struggling with the same problems. Your story could give hope to someone who thinks their situation is hopeless. She wipes her eyes with her napkin. 6 months ago, I never thought I'd have anything valuable to offer anyone. Recovery teaches us that our worst experiences can become our greatest sources of strength and wisdom, I say. Your addiction nearly destroyed our family, but your recovery is making all of us stronger. Marcus raises his glass of iced tea. To second chances. To second chances, Sarah and I echo, clinking our glasses together. After dinner, Sarah helps me clear the table while Marcus loads the dishwasher. These domestic moments feel precious now because they're based on choice, rather than obligation. Sarah comes for Sunday dinner because she wants to be here, not because she needs money or is trying to manipulate me into something. Mom, can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever regret not calling the police on me? Do you ever wonder if you should have just let me face criminal charges instead of arranging treatment? It's a thoughtful question that shows how much her thinking has matured over the past 6 months. No, honey, I don't regret it. But I want you to understand something important. If you had refused treatment, or if you had relapsed and started gambling again, I would have followed through with criminal charges. I know. That's what made the choice real. Exactly. Love without boundaries isn't really love at all. It's enabling. And enabling someone you care about is actually a form of cruelty because it prevents them from growing and changing. Sarah nods. In family therapy, Dr. Martinez explained that addicts often stay sick longer when their families keep rescuing them from consequences. That's right. I thought I was being loving by always bailing you out, but I was actually making it easier for you to avoid dealing with your problems. The coffee incident was my rock bottom, Sarah admits. Not because throwing coffee at you was the worst thing I'd ever done, but because it was the moment I realized I had become someone I didn't recognize, someone who would hurt the person who loved me most. And what did you decide in that moment? That I needed help. Real help. Not just more money to temporarily fix problems I'd created. Marcus joins us in the kitchen. Are you talking about feelings again? He teases. We're talking about how much we love each other and how grateful we are that our family survived addiction, Sarah says, pulling him into a hug. I'm grateful too, he says. I'm grateful that Grandma was smart enough to get you help instead of just giving up on you. I'm grateful that you both forgave me, even though I didn't deserve it. Sarah, I say, forgiveness isn't about deserving it. Forgiveness is about choosing love over resentment, hope over bitterness. We forgave you because we wanted our family back, and forgiveness was the only way to make that possible. As they're getting ready to leave, Sarah hands me an envelope. What's this? My rent payment for next month, plus an extra $100 toward my debt repayment. Sarah, you're already paying more than required. I know, but I want to be free of this debt as soon as possible. Not because I have to be, but because I want to be. There's a difference. What will you do when the debt is paid off and you own your house again? I'll keep paying the same amount, but into a savings account. Dr. Martinez says building savings is crucial for people in recovery because it creates a sense of security that makes us less likely to engage in risky behavior. I hug them both goodbye, watching from my front porch as they drive away together. Sarah is taking Marcus to a movie, something they do every other Sunday night. They're rebuilding their mother-son relationship slowly, one honest conversation at a time. Standing in my doorway, I think about what I've learned over these past 6 months. I learned that love and strength aren't opposites, they're partners. I learned that helping someone sometimes means refusing to rescue them. I learned that setting boundaries with people you love isn't cruel, it's necessary. Most importantly, I learned that people can change if they want to badly enough and if they have the right support. Sarah is living proof that addiction doesn't have to be a life sentence, and that families can heal from even the deepest betrayals if everyone commits to honesty and growth. My phone buzzes with a text from Marcus. Thank you for saving our family, Grandma. I love you. Another text follows from Sarah. Mom, thank you for loving me enough to stop enabling me. Thank you for believing I could change even when I didn't believe it myself. I love you. I text back. I love you both. See you next Sunday. Tomorrow, Sarah and I start working on the curriculum for the financial literacy program. We'll teach people in early recovery how to budget, save, and rebuild their credit. We'll share the hard-learned lessons about the difference between wants and needs, about living within your means, and about building a life based on sustainable choices rather than quick fixes. But mostly, we'll teach them what I learned. That rock bottom can be a foundation if you're willing to do the hard work of building something better on top of it. Every family faces challenges that test their love, their strength, and their commitment to each other. Addiction, betrayal, and financial struggles are common threads in American families. But what I want to share with anyone who might be facing similar challenges is this. Don't give up on the people you love, but don't enable their destructive behavior either. There's a difference between helping and enabling. Help empowers people to solve their own problems. Enabling makes it easier for people to avoid facing their problems. True love sometimes requires the courage to say no, to set boundaries, and to let people experience the consequences of their choices. If someone you love is struggling with addiction, remember that you can't save them, only they can save themselves. But you can create an environment where recovery is possible and relapse has real consequences. You can offer support for healthy choices while refusing to fund destructive ones. Most importantly, remember that change is possible at any age and any stage of addiction or dysfunction. People can learn new ways of thinking, feeling, and behaving if they're motivated and supported appropriately. Recovery is not just possible. It's happening every day in families across America who refuse to give up on each other, while also refusing to enable destructive behavior. What about you? Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with someone you love? Have you struggled with the difference between helping and enabling in your own family relationships? How do you balance unconditional love with necessary limits? I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Please like this video if Sarah's story resonated with you. Subscribe for more real-life stories about family challenges and recovery, and share this with anyone who might benefit from knowing that change is possible, even in the most difficult family situations. Thank you for listening to our story. And remember, love is not about saying yes to everything someone asks for. Sometimes love means having the courage to say no, so that the people you care about can learn to say yes to healthier choices. Until next time, may you find the wisdom to know when to help and when to step back, and the strength to love people enough to let them face their own consequences and discover their own power to change.